You're not going to get him on attempted murder or murdering these people if you assault a guy who's carrying a rifle and he shoots you.
I was out there trying to tell them to stop. Like, I actually listened. So when on my stream, as Kyle Rittenhouse runs in front of me, I just heard one person.
Wait, back though. Fuck. Beep, beep, beep. Reel that in. Did you say as Kyle Rittenhouse run in front of you? I didn't know this. You saw everything?
I was there from the beginning, bro.
I didn't know this. Oh my god.
Minute one. I was there for all of it, the whole thing.
Okay.
Every day.
Please tell me regale me with your story.
That's why as soon as you said Kenosha, I'm like, let's go.
Tell me your story, storyteller. Spin your yarn, old man.
So we're on our way to Washington D.C. for the big rally that Al Sharpton, and another guy, they were gonna host this big rally. So me and CJ, who had this platform, CJ TV at the time, who was a streamer, like, we're on our way there. We're gonna go there together, and on our way to Washington D.C., like in Chicago, right? Because we got to Chicago. We hear that, hey, there's Jacob Blake, and the video comes out, and it's like, oh fuck, and like I'm just getting DM'd like crazy, and it's just people are, like, I could see it, because all my people follow me from like crazy shit happening, and like they're all like, here it comes again, like the wave is coming. Like, oh man, something's going on in Kenosha. I can feel it. I don't want to go. Honestly, I didn't want to go. CJ was about it. He's like, let's fucking go. It's gonna be a big deal. Let's go. I'm like, oh my god, bro. Like, I'm so tired of like getting tear gassed and flashbanged, bro. I'm so tired of it. But it's like, okay. So we got in the truck. 45-minute drive. Got there fast as hell. It's probably like an hour and 15-minute drive. I got there in 45 minutes. Fast as hell. Pull up. Police are outside the police station already, and the people are chanting and throwing shit, and it's like, bro, it just escalated every day. So I'm gonna speed up. So every day it escalated. This is the third day. It was Kyle Rittenhouse. So every day more and more is going on. By the third day, there were fucking Bearcats, and the sheriff's department was out there with MRAPs and shit. And also on the third day, and when Kyle Rittenhouse was there, they had the feds out there. They had an FBI drone, right? When you're looking at the footage when Kyle Rittenhouse runs down the street, that's a FBI drone watching. They're watching everything at this point. Like, there's no more doubt about who's setting fires, who's starting the riots, all this. Like, the feds were all over the city, and they had us all contained. And this is what was fucked up about the situation, was because there was a Kenosha Examiner guy who's kind of like he was like this old alderman of Kenosha, and he put out a Facebook post calling for militias to come to Kenosha to help stop. Wait.
So there was like a guy who sits on like the Kenosha City Council.
Kevin Matheson.
Got you. And he was like, we need the National Guard to protect the city, basically.
He was calling for that, but he was calling for that, but he was also calling for just for people, like, come bring your firearm. He was a Facebook post, okay? But he's not the alderman anymore, but he was at the time. So, but he called for help to help the city. So by the third day, there was militias out there and fucking everyone.
Was that the popular sentiment, by the way? Was that the popular sentiment that they needed the National Guard, that they needed to protect the city? I'm sure the majority of people didn't like the rioting. They probably didn't like CVS's burning down.
No, they were scared. No. They were terrified. I don't know, because like the protest, like when it started, because they all started as protesting, and then it always escalated, right? It went from protesting, people with signs, and then fucking tear gas, flashbangs, riots, people scattered, burn shit. Like, that's how it went. The first night, it was pure riots. It was burning the surrounding area. Fucking, they had, oh my god, dude, shit was on fire. Second day, they brought garbage trucks to try to block off this area because this park is a government park, right? They went there to organize in front of a courthouse. There's a jail there. All government buildings. So this whole park is surrounded by government buildings. The third day when Rittenhouse was there, they had snipers on the roof. There's literally, the whole shit was monitored. But so the third day, everyone's in the park, right? And there's protesting to start. They flashbanged them, tear gassed them, and I was like, holy shit! I even got through my gas mask. I was like, damn, this is some CS mixed with this. It's strong, because I actually got through my mask. So they had extra shit. But the protests on the third day were focused in the park. They weren't anywhere else but the park. There was no riots. There was nothing burning. It was in the park, okay? So everyone's focused in there. And the militias were on the outside of the park, okay? So park was governed by the federal agents. There was the SWAT. There was the Kenosha police. Like, I'm talking every law enforcement possible was in the park where the people were to start, right? They were protesting the courthouse and shit. And like, they were just keeping it in the park. They got cleared out multiple times. Like, they didn't keep them. If the police wanted to keep all the people in a place where they can round them up easily and arrest them for I don't know, whatever, protesting or what was it called, chat? What was the order from the LRAD? What was the specific order called? Unlawful gathering. There we go. Sorry.
Gotcha, yeah.
When you're doing an unlawful gathering and then you can get arrested fast. Keeping them in the park would have been the most ideal because they can't leave. Like, you're literally in this government park, and if they would have sealed off the entrances, they would have kept every single person there on that third night in that park, but they didn't. They scattered them out, and we got scattered because the press is in there too, or people that were filming it or streaming, whatever, scattered. So we got pushed down further down the street where there weren't riots, but there were remnants of the riots from the 2 days prior. Nobody was rioting. But there were the militias down there. Kyle Rittenhouse was down there. This group was down there, and they're like, "Fuck!" They were antagonizing because the protest every time, and I filmed all this, would walk back to the park. They get scattered by the tear gas and the flashbangs, and they walked back to the government park because they were trying to keep the protests like in this area where the courthouse.
They're trying to keep everybody together.
They're trying to keep everyone together. We keep us safe, like all this shit. Like they were trying to move back to this group. And while they're converging back to the park, the militias and the Kyle Rittenhouses were like, fuck around and find out where you guys are fine. Like, they're basically antagonizing the shit out of the people. And like they were throwing firecrackers and like their own flashbangs.
Wait, the militias were throwing flashbangs and firecrackers?
They were throwing glass and shit at, yes, bro. The whole time.
I didn't know this. Nobody. This was not in the trial. I never heard any of this in the trial.
They kept a lot out of the trial, bro.
And the prosecution sucks. Like, even though I still think, even with all this information, they probably wouldn't have had a case against Kyle specifically, because you try to bash anybody's head in with a skateboard, right. Like, you're asking to get shot, right?
Yeah,
but
I'm with it. You're
but like, right. I want to talk about the legal law of the land. But if the prosecution used that information, that would have made a much stronger case as to why the people there were particularly terrified of the militia guys.
Yeah. They're not going to put that on there though. They actually kept it out. They cut it out of the trial because like there was all the other streamers that were out there that testified. I knew who they were. Blaze TV and fucking this. I can't remember the one guy though. He's from Wisconsin though. But I knew them all like at the time of them. But yeah, they definitely cut their footage out. Like they were on the top of across from the big car parking lot that got burnt. There was a mechanic shop, and they were on top of the mechanic shop. They being the militias, like on top of the shop with their rifles, like antagonizing people and shit, and like flashing laser pointers and shit, and flashing them. And this is like as the government and the police are like dispersing the people, like fuck, get out of our government park and go in the city. Like if they were, it'd be one
thing if they were like, I don't know, if they had like something like a pebble there, like some rocks they were throwing at people who were smashing up a business or anything, or was it just like
no one was smashing things? It was they were
just throwing shit. They were just throwing fireworks at random people.
Oh, like pop the whatever, make the pop. I don't know if they're fireworks. They're the ground shit. Not like actual fucking like fire.
I know what you're talking about. They're like those like
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you used to throw them on the ground and go pop. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That type of stuff, ground stuff. Nothing major, but like that they're antagonizing them. And so like then the group like 3 times this happened, and they got pushed back to the gas station, bro. We kept pushed back to this gas station. Like it was crazy.
Is there footage of this, by the way?
Of course, it's on my YouTube channel. Hours.
If you have footage of them throwing stuff or anything like that, could you send it to me? Because people in my chat saying there would be footage of this if this was real.
It's just you have to watch hours of unedited footage though. It's streamed. Like I streamed it. I was live the whole time out there. Just like that's how I started my platform in Minneapolis. So if you have the time, Dylan's chat, but you have to like pick up a bowl of popcorn and turn it on, and it's hours. I should maybe clip stuff. I'll maybe work on that someday. Like if it becomes relevant.
It'd be good to one day go through it and like get the best stuff and like put it in a mega comp.
Yeah, and so
I sometimes release some of my old content, and like sometimes we'll never get the same views it originally got when the news was big, but I've sometimes gotten like half or like 3, even one time 3/4.
So it got worse, Dylan. So by the 3rd time we got pushed back down to the gas station, they were pointing their firearms at the people now, like the militias were. They were like taking positions in this gas station, and we're looking like, dude, this guy he had an army PT shirt on. Clearly, guy must have been like a National Guard or reservist. And I'm like, get the fuck off the truck! Like he was taking a position, like because the people kept getting pushed, and so they're like fucking taking low ready stances and shit, and like literally pointing their firearms at people. people. Like, this is the militias. I talked to the big guy who testified, who was right next to with Kyle. I interviewed him, like, after Kyle, like, after he was attacked and then people died. I talked to him, like, right there on the scene, but like, they were all mixed. We got mixed together. Like, the crowd that was there to protest the police and what happened to Jacob Blake, and then the militias. Like, we were all intermixed. And again, they're like, and it's like, whoa, it was a bad situation. And I'm chilling there, and obviously I didn't know who Kyle Rittenhouse was at this time.
Huh?
But he picks up a fire extinguisher and he runs away, and he's running down the street, and he just goes, and it attracts attention because it's like he has his rifle and he's got a fire extinguisher and he's running, and no one else is doing this at the time. Nobody's attending, because as the crowd kept getting pushed at this time now.
See, that's the thing that gets me. Why would he ever separate from the rest of his buddies? Because that's when people feel like, oh, that one's vulnerable, I'm gonna go get him. Because when I would see guys go after Trumpers, and I would see sometimes rioters in DC go after Trumpers. I remember at the Million MAGA March, I'd see them. The thing they love doing is hat snatching. I don't know if you see it, but they see a Trumper with a hat, go up, yank it, and run away. It's like some people tell me that's terror. Some people try to describe like these guys as terrorists. Like 80% of these guys just want to like post a funny meme on the internet. Like that's, and I'm not saying you should be allowed to do that, but we call them rioters and not terrorists for a reason.
Yeah.
But oh fuck, I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah.
Rip.
You were just basically eating Trump hats and.
Oh yeah, but every single time that would happen, it'd be when they separate from the rest of the crowd, or when they're isolated and people feel like they can do it because there's nobody that's gonna back them up. You never separate from the crowd like that.
But it stood out, right? We like, everyone was at this gas station. We had just dealt with militias acting crazy, pointing their firearms at people, and it was just like it was one of those like hectic situations that lasted like 5 minutes, and then after we like yelled at them to put their fucking rifles away and go, it chilled out. And so then we were just kind of like mingling in this gas station, and then Kyle Rittenhouse, who I didn't know who he was was just a guy, but runs and with his weapon down the street, and they're like, what the fuck is that? Because again, we were chilling, or people were getting told to leave at this time. Like, literally by this time, the civilians in Kenosha were there at the gas station too, that weren't a part of the protest. They weren't in the militias. They were literally telling people to go home. Everybody, go home. Bye, leave.
Like, so like locals were like, please stop.
Locals,
like making our street your battle. Like,
yes, and they were telling it to everybody, like all of it. Just get the fuck out of here. I will
say that one of the most deflating things I've seen for like for people when I talk to them, because I live in the DC area. So when things get crazy, I being from the DMV, I can be like, yo, we're from here. Like, fuck off. That is something that really deflates people, because a lot of people are like super isolated online, and they're surrounded in an internet bubble where like everybody's like, yeah, Biden's a pedophile or whatever it is. They're isolated. Then when they go in the real world, they kind of assume that all the real normal people like them believe everything they do. And so when they go into a community and get told like, yo, I'm from here, you don't live here, fuck off. It's one of the most deflating things I've found for them. Like, it really dampers their spirits.
It does. And I saw it constantly in 2020 and 2021, because they thought that they're there for something, and then the people that are actually there tell them another thing. It's like, oh fuck. But I get it though. After 3 days of this, like literally, like, I'm not gonna lie, the first 2 nights were pretty violent riots, like pretty damn violent. Like, building, like, shit was crazy. I got a plaque. That plaque right there is from the church that nearly burned down. That was actually what was the type of church it was? It wasn't a traditional Christian church. It was like a church that accepts everybody. Like, actually, I think it emphasizes the LGBTQ and it emphasizes other things, but it's a certain name of it though. It's like a certain type of a church. Chat. Would it help? Oh, hold on. It's a Bradford Community Church. Oh, Unitarian. It's a Unitarian church.
Got you. You know what I found out recently? I found out my family actually was Pentecostal, and I didn't know that because right when I came about, when they changed, taking to Baptist church.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm talking the snake charmer people.
The Pentecostals, huh?
Yeah, I found that out recently. That was a weird family update.
Yeah, I did my background research. I'm from all over the place. I got like Lebanese in me and shit. But yeah, no, I didn't. That wasn't me that saved the flag. That was CJ. He picked up the American flag on the ground before it burned. Anyways, Yeah, so riots were actually pretty violent, but the third night, everyone was just the people were tired of it, like the civilians in the area, so they were kicking everyone out, like, and that's why also people were walking like away from the gas station towards this other car parking lot. That's like the famous street that he ran to, and then with Rosenbaum, and then fucking like, and then ran away, killed him there, and ran him away. So at this time, there were people smashing cars now because by the third time of getting dispersed from the police area, they were all the way down the street now, and they were smashing cars. But at the same time, bro, it's like I question. It's like, why did the police like give Kyle Rittenhouse so much leeway to do that, right? When the feds were literally watching that drone footage we're watching is.
You'll be surprised by how much the cops just watch during riots. They just kind of stand there.
Bro, they did. I saw it. I saw it. But also too is the police, the Kenosha police, were giving the militias like water and giving them snacks, asking them if they needed anything. You guys are doing a great job. All that the whole time. I remember
during the Million MAGA March, there was a scandal that the police chief was actually telling one of the high-ranking police officers was telling the Proud Boys where the protesters were the night of. So kind of giving them instructions. And the Proud Boys kept finding us that night. So it made sense after the fact. It's surprising how much local authorities will be willing to kind of be buddy-buddy with these militiamen. Or not even the militiamen. The Proud Boys aren't even a militia. They're just a street fight club.
They're just a street hooligan losers. Yeah. But so as he ran back, right, he obviously killed Rosenbaum. He ran through, and then all I heard was the gunshots, and he's running back now. And then people said he's not the shooter, right? And so all I did at the time, and I had no idea what happened. I was just trying to yell out loud, like, he's not the shooter. Stop chasing him. Like, he's number one, he's armed. He's got a rifle in his hand.
Yep.
If you're gonna run up to him and try to,
so you're trying to convince people not to attack Kyle?
I was trying to people to stop. Just stop. It was like, stop trying to attack him because you're probably gonna die, or like you're probably gonna get killed because he's got a rifle. And like, actually, I believe there was an example of this in Dallas, like a couple of weeks prior, like months prior, where people had chased a guy and he fucking killed him or something, or I don't know, he was like attacked by a mob or something. Like he had gotten chased down. I don't remember the story vividly, so don't quote me on it, but it happened in Texas, I think, and a guy had gotten beat to death or something by the crowd. So like, I didn't want to see that either. I didn't want to see like a fucking crowd beat the fuck out of it, like, especially if like he didn't shoot anyone or like no one knows what happened. You're gonna have like a crowd beat the fuck out of this dude, like, and he could have, like, I don't know, it was just too much. So I was just regurgitating like he's not and he was the shooter actually after further review and knowing what happened, but I was just like, he's not the shooter, stop, leave him alone, no. And what happened. So yeah.
Did you see what happened?
Yeah, actually, I threw people to the side because they were on like the sidewalk and like taking cover because like his rifle came up, like, bro, like his rifle came up while he was on the ground, and like he pointed it in the direction where I was, and like all of us were. So as soon as he shot dude, I was like, saw that, fucking just yanked like 3 or 4 people into like bushes next to the houses because there were civilian houses right there along the street. So I literally just like saw a rifle pop and then grabbed people and just started throwing them like immediately. So that way we weren't in like the crossfire because it was like rifle up, firing, shots coming out, and we were like in the direction of that. So we had to like stay.
Did you go home after?
I think we were in Kenosha for like 1 more day. Or 1 or 2 more days. We actually we went to the Washington DC rally after this.
So that didn't sate your appetite.
We slept on the Lincoln Memorial steps like during the daytime because also that speech day went for like 9 hours, like so many speeches. It kept going nonstop. It kept going. So we were just sleeping on the Lincoln Memorial because we came directly from Kenosha to DC. Now I drove 17 hours nonstop. Like I just kept going because I have a military background driving. So I drove from Kenosha to DC. We made like 1 stop, I think, and that was it. But then we got to the giant rally that we were supposed to go to begin with. Pit stop in Kenosha. It was crazy.
Pit stop in Kenosha. That's one way to refer.
It was what it was. We weren't supposed to go there. We didn't plan to go there. It was on our way to Washington, and we got routed to Kenosha because people in my chat were going crazy about it.
What's your main takeaway from the Kenosha riots, dude?
Man, like takeaway. It was. I haven't actually processed it actually this whole time. Like it happened, and I never got to actually like talk about it or like go through it. But I guess it's the result too of the information coming in, right? People were told right away that like Jacob Blake was like was dead, number one, after being stabbed by the police. So a lot of people thought he was killed, and so just misinformation around that fueled a lot of the anger. Man, I don't know. I wish listen, my biggest takeaway is the police should have kept they didn't listen. They wanted to avoid the whole Rittenhouse scenario. You could have still had the militia there and everything. They should have kept the people in the fucking park and not dispersed them 3 times. 3 times they dispersed, and they were, then every time the people walked right back up into the area where the snipers were. They had all of the federal agents, law enforcement.
That's where they had like all the power. So why?
Well, if you wanted to arrest them after being unlawful, if they were being unlawful, whatever, they can protest. It's their right to protest. But if they break the unlawful assembly order or whatever the police got, then you got them right there. There was lights. It was lit up. That's the other thing, Dylan, is the park was lit up so you could see everybody. Down the street where the militias were, pitch black.
You know, Mercado, next time you're in
anything.
Ukraine and when we're together, I think it'll probably be in Ukraine. I'm going to have to sit you down and like interview about this, like a long form, because this is all stuff you need to record your memories sooner rather than later. You need to record it sooner rather than later, because I don't know if you ever watch like old World War II veterans like doing interviews, but something I've noticed is they forget a lot, man, in that time. And the sooner you do it, the better, because you'll forget, and the more you forget, the less clear the story will be. So, I mean, maybe doing this was helpful for that just memory process, but it's just important.
I don't get to talk about it much, because the other thing too is the people that were out there streaming doing what I was doing got put on the stand or whatever. So like they didn't, but they were like right-wing-ish, like they were definitely, or the Blaze, for example, or like fucking dude, CJ's ass, CJ TV called the prosecutor with details type shit, bro, on the side, like during the trial. So like all of the right-wing streamers and people got the attention out there. So that narrative, unfortunately, was carried. And those of us that were like just there experiencing it and like saw it all didn't really get platformed too much, because it would have kind of ruined the narrative a little bit.
Man, you know, Kenosha, when I think of the footage that I see from Kenosha, it's mostly from Blaze too. It's mostly from those outlets. I don't really, I know, bro. There's not really much from the protester angle. It's mostly stuff I think from near the militiamen.
And that's who I covered. I stayed with the protest, and like literally I was in the places. I don't know if, can I show you? No, just look at it later. It's like, just go to my YouTube channel on the homepage, and it's like you scroll down and it says Kenosha riots. Like they got a whole.
How many people watched your stream?
So not many for this time, because I was with CJ, and he had a better, and this is how it was. He had the phone connection, like he had a 5G connection, and I couldn't connect to the phone, so I had.
That is the most frustrating part of trying to do those.
In Kenosha, Wisconsin's. I'm not gonna lie, love Wisconsin, love y'all, but it's in BFE. It's in the middle of fucking. I never even heard of the place. Okay, it's small town, great town though. Love the town. It's beautiful. It's right on the lake. It's an amazing town. Awesome. But I've never heard of it, and they don't have top of the line phone service there. So, while I did well in Minneapolis and had the most viewers of everyone there, like 70,000 concurrent stream viewers on that.
Wow.
I had maybe like 1,000 or 2,000, and CJ had like 30-some thousand people a stream. Same with like the Blaze and others. The right wing, because like there's also a factor of the right wing gets attached to these things because it's kind of like riot porn. Like they go to it, like they get to see people get fucked up and like tear gas and burning shit. Like they get, as much as they're like against it, and like they're against this anarchy and chaos, boy, if I'm telling you, there's some of the biggest viewers of it. They watch it all. They love it. They're some of the biggest supporters I had when that shit was going on. They're nowhere to be found now, but boy, they were hardcore fans back then. They like seeing that shit. It's gross.
People do like seeing it. I think people just kind of, I think some people seeing it as like an extension of the political battle. And I see that sometimes when I see people talking online, as if the outcomes of these specific street fights really matter all that much when it comes to the sways and like the goes and backs of general politics. I don't know if you saw that one footage of that one girl getting hit, I think at the what was the rally? It was Charlottesville. It was that one woman that got hit in the face. That clip was played again and again and again and again. People love that clip. And I think it's because people like to just see that frustration taken out on the people they politically disagree with. It's pretty toxic for society. The more that's normalized, the worse it is.
It's bad, bro. I mean, it's, and I always question it myself too, because I'm out there, I'm the one providing the footage of it, but it's like I have to tell this story at the same time, so it's like a give and a take, because the people, and that's when I started getting mods. That's when I started realizing the importance for having moderators, and like my chat not being a cesspool of just toxic, because they were cheering people to get hurt and all types of stuff, like just the worst. And I'm like, I can't have this. I can't be known as the guy that goes to film riots and like has this riot porn community that just wants to see people get hurt. I'm like, no, I want to report on this. It's important to document it, but I can't have these rage baiting, fear driven, violence loving creatures in my community. I just couldn't have it anymore because it was happening so often. Like 2020, there was riots or violent protests or just protesting a lot. So I had to navigate a lot early on. I had to learn a lot about the internet really quick.
Man,
I can tell you a lot. I can tell you about the chop. I can tell you about Chop Chaz. I went there. The Chop.
Wait, you went to Chop and dude? Okay. Bro. Let me ask you something. Bro. What were these are my favorite part about going to protests is people watching. What type of people were at Chop and Chaz? What were? Can you give me an image for my mind here?
It's giving. You know, when you're just like at the mall on a Tuesday and people are just there, and it's like, why are you at the mall? Like, and then that's just not really doing anything. They're just kind of like in there.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was giving. I mean, there was the leader, who was Raz Simone. He had a firearm on his hip. Beyond that, like people were in there playing basketball, dodgeball. There was a football field in there. There was a taco restaurant. That's where Snack Squad got started, actually, by the way.
Wait, so they had restaurants still serving people in there? Was there still currency? What was the currency system like?
My debit card.
So they didn't. So it still was so everything was the same in there.
Restaurants were running in there. Businesses were running the whole time.
Okay, what was
they had really good tacos.
I thought they were building another society in there. I thought that was the idea, right?
They had ideas. Listen, so they're like the center of it was like they definitely had some commune stuff going on. They had like, it was actually pretty cool because they had tents, and then they had like, they were growing fruit and vegetables. So they're trying to be healthy. I don't eat a whole lot of fruit and vegetables, but I would eat that because I know it's fresh. And so they had like that going on. Up the hill, they had a dog park. So like people had their dogs in there and like playing with their dogs. I did a whole perimeter sweep because I was actually told that this was like a militarized DMZ basically. So when I went there, I was like, I went on the whole perimeter of it. Like, I'm in it, I'm out of it. I'm in it, I'm out of it. Like, it was funny. I had a blast. But
so was it easy to go in and out?
If you know where the east, what was it? The East Capitol Chapel Hill, Eastern Hill, whatever it was called in Seattle. Yeah.
So why didn't the cops I heard that like people like died because ambulances couldn't get in, and there was like some real disasters. Was that all just like bad marketing, or?
It got bad at the end. So like towards the end of it, obviously, like they had nobody patrolling anything in there. They didn't have listen, we live in a society, so you do need to have people that uphold a little bit of some law and order, a little bit, whatever. So after a while, because I had went there when it was created, when like the narratives were fresh, like, and Raz was still there. When the gangs took over, because gangs did go in there and start running shit. There was no Raz Simone. I don't know, that it was like 2 months after I'd already seen it, so it deteriorated. So it didn't last over time.
So you're saying the gangs took over? That's how it ended? It would just be...
Yeah, they had some gang activity in there. Same with the issues with 38th in Chicago, George Floyd Square as well. Like the gangs came back because they were obviously pushed away due to all of like the people down there and the publicity and just the attention. But then eventually, like even at 38th in Chicago, the gangs came back and like dictated how things go. Or how things will go.
And was that why Raz left, do you think?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't know the politics of that, but when I was there, it was a big giant version of what we had at 38th in Chicago here in Minneapolis at the autonomous zone. But then it deteriorated though.
When the cops went in, was it just like they pulled down the door, it was over? Was there any resistance?
They were done at that. I wasn't there when it all came down. I actually was watching Concrete reporting stream of it, but yeah, it was just one big sweep. Like they just like all of the Seattle police just went there.
Why didn't they go in sooner?
The political climate of the time. Yeah, it was the political climate, honestly. Like pushing back against that in a severe way would have probably been bad politically for the city. Especially I think since isn't Seattle blue?
Yeah, it's very,
or that part is yeah.
Very blue.
Yeah, that would have been bad politically. Yeah, they did try to clear out Chop Chaz, and it resulted in somebody, I think, losing their hand. Like a protester or somebody lost one of their limbs because the police, like, it was just crazy. That's actually what it was. The Seattle police.
But that confuses me because, like, how would they? So they would violently resist the police, but they can't stop the gangs from coming back. I guess it's the gangs don't care. They'll just shoot them and they'll be done with it.
Oh, diversity and inclusion. That's why. Okay. This is we're
diversity of gang
society.
affiliation.
That's what I laughed at. I'm like, God, like, okay, yeah, fuck the police, but
I don't care if they identify as they, them, MS-13, Blood, or Crip.
Come through. But that's the reality of it. It is what it is. I mean, the George Floyd Square is still operated by community now, and it's open now for traffic, so that definitely helps. When it wasn't open for traffic, like the Bloods were just down there, like in that fucking thing. Like you could go there and pay your respects to George Floyd or whatever and see it, but there was Blood Gang in there at the same time. Whatever. But now that it's open for traffic and people are driving through there, they're not just like loitering in there anymore. But yeah, same thing happened in Chop Chaz. It deteriorated, but it was a great idea to start after they fought the police.
What exactly was the idea again?
Have an autonomous zone, an area where the people run it, for the people by the people.
Got you.
It was a practice at communism, and as we know, it often
and the gangs took over. So it's just we just sped up the Soviet system.
We just sped run communism.
We just sped run the Soviet Union. That's what they did.
So it didn't work out, but again, it was great at the start. People were smoking pot in there and growing vegetables, and the gangs took over.
People were smoking pot, and then then people were dying, and ambulances couldn't come in. It derailed.
Exactly. Yep. And then the reality hit when the ambulance couldn't get in there, and then the actual emergency services couldn't help the situation.
It was kind of just waiting for something like that to happen, wasn't it? It was almost like there was someone just waiting for a disaster to happen so they have an excuse to clamp down on it.
It was. Listen, that was just the energy of 2020. People were about this autonomous zone building revolution. Like we're no more, we're done, and it didn't. Nothing happened. It was just noise for like a year. It was supposed to be the revolution.
I feel like if I was really about the revolution, if anything, I would hate the gangs as much, if not more, than the cops.
That's what I'm saying. Diversity and inclusion, Dylan.
Like when people think of like an autonomous zone, people don't think of like Sinaloa cartel controlled territory in Mexico.